While waiting for Nagakura to stand, Amagiri revealed some news about father. All this time, Amagiri had been keeping track of each of father's movements, going so far as to hunt down new batches of Furies without respite. According to Amagiri, the Furies who had appeared in Kofu were also father's doing. Father was intervening with the natural order of man, a grave fact that which he was unconcerned. To our surprise, Amagiri was interested in becoming an ally, hoping to bring an end to father's mortifying experiments once and for all. Then, Amagiri revealed one last bit of disturbing information he had uncovered in his travels. Oh. Please don't be what I think it is. Utilizing Fury powers came at a terrible, terrible cost. Oh, okay, it's not the thing that I was thinking of. Harnessing its strength and borrowing energy accrued from decades of a normal human's lifespan. In other words, it was burning your own candle from both ends just to see flame. I cupped my hands over my mouth in shock, and Amagiri turned his head to admonish Nagakura.
あなたは羅刹の力に頼らなくても十分に強いはず。そのことを思い出してください。羅刹に頼るようでは、私はあなたを倒さなくてはならなくなります。自暴自棄で周りも見えず、羅刹の力を制御できない今のあなたでは、この娘は守れない。
Amagiri inhaled deeply, straightening his back as he gazed intently at Nagakura.
この娘を任せるわけにはいきません。連れて行きます。
Don't I get to say who the fuck is to protect me?
本当にいいですね。
Hold on! Please don't take me! Nagakura will get through this. He won't be defeated as easily as you say. Amagiri blinked his eyes at me inquisitively. It was impossible for me to read the meaning behind his expression, but...
では、今回だけです。次はありません。
He spun around, melting into the aether like a phantom. What a relief. I let out an audible sigh, rubbing my eyes as I attempted to process the last hour of my life. Although Amagiri's news wasn't exactly encouraging, I had faith in Nagakura's ability to persevere. Someday, he would conquer his demons, no longer tethered to the restrictions his condition imposed. It worried me, though, that Nagakura was slow to speak up after Amagiri's departure. Nagakura?
俺はダメだ。怒りで自分を見失って。あの時と一緒だぜ。敵も味方も見境なくなっちまう。多分、君のことさえもわからなくなるかもしれねえ。そんな俺には、もう君を守る資格なんてない。いや、何かのために戦う資格すら俺にはないんだ。俺は人間じゃねえ。半端者の羅刹なんだな。
What? No, that's not true! You saved me, Nagakura! I tried cheering him up with a faint smile, but the morbid image of him slaughtering Furious was fresh in my memory.
コードさんは羅刹を犬や馬みたいに扱ってたよな。考えてみりゃ、近藤さんもそうだった。俺のことを使い捨てみたい。なんで俺はあの時落ち水を飲んじまったんだろうな。
So, Nagakura regretted it after all. Hearing him voice a sentiment that plagued me with insecurity shattered my heart to pieces. Before I could respond, he meekly sauntered away. Where are you going?
Well, I have to leave.
Okay.
Yeah, and the dogs.
Oh god, there's so many of them!
Bye.
Bye-bye. And I'm alone. Nagakura wandered aimlessly into the darkness by himself, crushing branches with its footsteps. My hands were clammy with nervousness, and I followed him into the forest without hesitating. And we've arrived at chapter 4. Holy shit! Nearly a week had passed since Nagakura secluded himself following his humiliating interaction with the demon Amagiri. He emerged from the forest, stumbling upon a decrepit hut in the base of the mountain range, and became a hermit in a cold, isolated slice of land. Our boy isn't taking this too good. More often than not, he found refuge in his lonesome bedroom, shutting his heart away from the world. He became devoid of confidence, hoping that he could ignore the deafening sound of his internal guilt. Why did I say entrail? By normal standards, it was nothing more than a prison sentence. To Nagakura, however, it was a chance to numb himself until he eventually turned to dust. Each day, I traversed through the forest to procure supplies, like food and utensils, from a nearby village. It was the only way I could keep Nagakura alive. Nagakura, I've made you some dinner. That was a sound effect. Nagakura refused to answer, but I could hear his stomach grumble from the other room. He was in a cycle of self-deprecation, both triggered and exacerbated by his hunger. Your choice not to return to the corpse is one thing, but the least you could do is feed yourself. Hold on. I think there's a fly in my room that's climbing up my wall. It's just gonna live in my wall. Oh, it flew away. Alright. Nagakura carefully grabbed the sides of the hot steaming bowl of porridge I had set on the table. He reluctantly put the bowl to his lips and sipped. His eyes widened, struck with a sudden realization. You handed me a pouch of coins and asked me to take care of it, remember? Can we hug him again? Seeming pleased with himself, he resumed eating. What did he expect? What did he expect us to do when the money ran out? Was he assuming we would simply live off the land? I wondered if Nagakura was experienced in living a humble, sedentary lifestyle. Sedentary? If that were the case, if somehow he could adapt to these adverse conditions, it would be okay. The biggest dilemma to me was deciding how long it would take for Nagakura to get over his slump. Even if he was to piece together the bits of his broken heart, how would he find our friends? How would we find our friends, our allies? As I succumbed to a bevy of anxious thoughts, Nagakura slurped the last bit of his porridge, licking his lips with satisfaction. I stared at him with a furrowed brow, and our eyes suddenly met, albeit rather awkwardly.
あのよ、なんで何も言わないんだ?
There was reason for him to point out my silence, but I felt it better not to make any needless comments. Well, if I were in a similar position to yours, I don't think I would want anyone to nag me either. More importantly, I wanted him to know. The guide says, "You saved me." You saved me, Nagakura. So this time, I'm taking it upon myself to save you. Please, pay me no mind. You deserve some time to yourself, to let your heart ease its way back into things. It was an honest, confident admission. It was my belief that Nagakura would emerge from this crisis as a stronger person, his past be damned. Offering him anything other than support in such a fragile period for him could only worsen his mood. Beyond whatever I could say to him, though, it was up to Nagakura to determine his resolve, how he would choose to move on from his own mistakes.
すまねえな。
Nagakura blushed as his words trailed off. Thankfully, it seems as though he got the gist of what I was getting at. It was the most encouragement I had seen in days. The next morning, I had the idea of setting up a training regiment for my own swordsmanship. Yes! Anytime that I was given the opportunity to engage in combat or restrain Nagakura, I was often too weak, especially in situations that involved furies. Hopefully, with due diligence, I would hone my technique enough to become a capable fighter. No, I just wanted to become stronger. Yeah! I unsheathed my kodachi in the middle of an open meadow, letting the wind brush against my cheeks. Recalling the memory of what I had learned in my dojo, I started going through the motions of my practice forms and put my all into every swing. My legs swatted against tall patches of grass as I wove nimbly through my forms. The air cracked with each vigorous slash of my kodachi, making my back muscles sore. At least we're doing something. As beads of sweat began forming atop my forehead from each exertion, a voice came from behind me.
いい剣筋だな。
I peeked over my shoulder, realizing Nagakura had crept from out of the hut to watch me train. Huh?
でもなんだって千鶴ちゃんがこんなことをしてるんだ?
So that, when the time comes, I can protect you. My master's greatest lesson was that swordsmanship is best used to hone myself into an instrument of protection, rather than an object of death.
己を強くか。けどよ、いくら鍛えても羅刹や鬼にはかなわねえぜ。自分の中にいる羅刹にもな。
Nagakura scoffed at me derisively.
このまま何もかも捨ててここで暮らせば、人の迷惑だけにはならねえか。
Phone.
ついでだ。剣も捨ててしまうか。
Nagakura, no! It was a pathetic attempt at humor. But for Nagakura, His first instinct was offering a lighthearted quip to deflect the nagging pain. But as a fellow student of swordsmanship... Oh, hang on. No, as a swordsman, hearing someone whom I had respected willingly dismiss our craft was unbearable. Nagakura, why did you commit your entire life previously to swordsmanship? What were you training for? Was there anything in particular that you hoped to achieve? Pick your sword back up. Have some faith in the cause for which you've dedicated your whole life, and believe in what your sword is capable of. Back in Kyoto, I always believed that you wielded your sword because you wanted to protect others. I said all of this in one drawn breath. Not really! With flushed cheeks, Nagakura seemed on the cusp of responding, but I gave him no such chance. I know the true Nagakura, the one whose heart broke for Heisuke's sake. The one who's still reeling with guilt over the loss of his dear friend Kondo-san. I know how benevolent and gentle your soul is, and that's something that you becoming a fury won't change. You mustn't succumb to your affliction. Well, this time, I've believed in you. So for me, please, don't turn your back on your duty. As I felt my throat strain from... my throat is starting to strain. More like my tongue, though. As I felt my throat strain from... What? Oh, hold on. My eyes. As I felt my throat strain... Wait, what? Hold... There are 3 mice and one of them doesn't belong. As I felt my throat strain from my passionate plea, Nagakura brusquely pulled me into his arms. Or brusquely? Brusquely? Oh god. Suddenly I was smothered by his loving embrace. He placed his tender lips against my ear.
俺の剣は人を助けることができるのかな。俺はやっていけると思うかい。
No sooner had my answer escaped my lips when I felt his squeeze tighten.
自分を信じてくれる人がいるっていうのはこんなにも嬉しいもんなんだな。俺が鍛えてきたのは自分が強くなるためじゃなくて誰かのため何かのため人を助けるためなんだよな。そのために俺の剣があるんだ。そんな俺の剣が羅刹なんかに負けるわけにはいかねえよな。今はっきりと分かったよ。俺には剣がある。何にも負けない剣があるんだよな。もう俺は羅刹なんかに負けないし迷わない。羅刹の力なんかに頼らずに千鶴ちゃんを守るよ。そのために俺は今こうして生きてるんだ。ありがとう。こんな俺にずっと付き合ってくれて、そして気づかせてくれて。
Please, I've always believed in you, Nagakura. That's all. A breeze whistled through the blades of grass at our feet, and we separated from one another. I looked deeply into Nagakura's eyes, and he flashed the brightest smile I had seen in ages.
俺も一緒に振っていいか?
Please, feel free to join me. In fact, I would love it if you showed me a thing or two. I mean to say, your style.
いいぜ。その代わり、俺の神道無念流はちと厳しいぜ。
Shinto Munen style, one of Edo's most prestigious sword styles, used by the likes of Shinpachi Nagakura, Kamo Shirazawa, and Kashitaro Ito. Mmm. Mmm. My heart flooded with joy. At last, Nagakura had regained his sense of self. He confronted his fears maturely, never losing sight of what made him so special to me and his allies. Nagakura inspired me by learning from his flaws and choosing to accept rather than shun them. He was becoming the warrior he was born to be. Now, it was up to me to do the same.